If you're watching this, it's already too late. The town of Blackwood lay in silence. Once lively streets, now overgrown with weeds, were lined with dark, abandoned buildings. Shattered windows and crumbling facades stood as a testament to a community long deserted. Inside the local inn, Margaret, the innkeeper, leaned against the counter. Her hands trembled as she stared at a missing persons poster bearing Nathan Parker's face. The edges of the poster were worn and faded, much like the hope in her eyes. The sound of a ticking clock pierced the oppressive stillness, each tick louder than the last. Suddenly, a faint whisper floated in with the wind. "Help me!" Nathan's distorted voice echoed. Margaret's head snapped up. Her eyes widened with terror as the lights flickered above her. Frozen in place, her breath quickened. For a second, she was almost compelled to walk straight into the forest to help the owner of that voice. Eli, the town's grizzled old hunter, sat on his weathered porch, cradling his rifle. He wore his late wife's taper hat, the brim tilted low to shield his face from the midday sun. His expression was somber, the deep lines etched into his face telling stories of guilt and anguish. The sound of approaching footsteps broke the quiet. Father O'Connor emerged cautiously from the tree line, his face pale and his movements hesitant. "Eli," the priest said, his voice quivering. "Something's happening in the town. People are seeing things, hearing voices." Eli didn't look up. Instead, his voice came low and heavy. "It's the curse," he muttered. "The Wendigo's not done with us yet." Later, the two sat by the fireplace inside Eli's cabin, the flickering flames casting ominous shadows on the walls. Eli's hand shook as he poured himself a drink, his weathered fingers gripping the glass tightly. "Years ago, we made a mistake," Eli began, his voice barely above a whisper. "We thought we could kill the Wendigo. But it wasn't just a creature, it was a curse. We struck a deal to keep it at bay. Sacrifices. Outsiders. Nathan Parker was just the latest." Father O'Connor stared at him in disbelief, his voice tinged with horror. "You sacrificed him?" Eli nodded solemnly. "We had no choice. The Wendigo demanded blood." Nathan was already wandering too deep. All we had to do was nothing. But now, it's back and it's angry. As night fell, unease spread among the remaining townsfolk. Shadowy figures began to appear at the edge of the forest, their forms flickering and disappearing like ghosts. Heavy footsteps echoed through the streets at night, a grim reminder that the Wendigo was still lurking. Margaret was the first to succumb. One night, she heard Nathan's voice calling to her again, faint but unmistakable. Lantern in hand, she stepped outside, the soft glow of the light casting eerie shapes in the darkness. The voice led her into the woods, where she vanished without a trace.